So in this particular lecture, let's actually create a home page and let's extend that home page from the base template which we have. So a home page is nothing but it's basically the page we should get when we visit /users. So right now, if you visit users, as you can see, there's no URL pattern defined for it. And we want to make this thing as sort of a home page for the users app. So in order to set it up, first of all, let's go back to VS Code. And here, in order to actually create a particular page, I'll go to the templates and here I'll create a new file and call it as index.html. And now this index.html is actually going to extend from the base template which we have just created, because this index template should actually have this thing as the navigation bar of that template. So here I'll make this thing extend from the base template. So I would say extends from nothing but users/base.html. So once this extension is made, now we could start adding the code to this index page. So this index page, let's say we want to simply add a simple line like this is the home page. So here I will add the block body tag, which means that the block or the body of this particular template starts from here and end block means it ends here. So here I'll add a simple h1 tag and call it as homepage for users app. So now we need to render out this template on the basis of a view. So let's go to the views.py file, which is this file right here. And up over here, I want to create a view. So I'll call this view as index. So I would say def index. As usual, it's going to accept a request. And this is going to simply return and render the template which we have. So this is obviously going to accept the request object, and also it's actually going to go ahead and render the template which is users/, which is nothing but index.html. Once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. Now let's associate this particular view with a URL pattern. So we want to associate this with a URL pattern which is nothing but just /, and that's because if you take a look at this, this is the URL pattern we are targeting for. So let's go back to VS Code, go to the urls.py file, let's create a path, and here I would say the path should be empty and the view should be index. So views.index, and I would say the name should be also index. Give a comma at the end and we should be good. So let's see if that works. So if I go back here and if I visit this, it says template does not exist at users, which is user/base.html. And this is because if we go to this template right here, we have to extend from users, not user. If I do that, hit refresh, as you can see, it says homepage for users app. And you'll also be able to notice that here it will say login because currently the user is logged out. So if I log in now, let's try logging in with the super user credentials. If I hit submit, as you can see, it says user authenticated and logged in. And now if I try visiting this homepage right here, as you can see, as the user is now logged in, it will say logout. And when I click this, it will basically go ahead and log the user out. And now again, if I visit the homepage, you'll be able to see that it will again say login here, which means that the login and logout functionality is completed. Now, one more thing which we could do here is that let's say we have this home page and we want the user to be able to access this home page only when the user is logged in. In that particular case, we need to add a login required decorator for that. So let's go back to the view here, which is the index view, and let's say we want to protect this view with the login required decorator. So first of all, we need to import that decorator. So in order to import that, you would say from django.contrib.auth.decorators and import the login required decorator. And once we have imported that, we simply have to add it up over here. So I would say at login required. Okay, so now what this does is that it will protect this route with a login. And now if I go back up over here, if I try accessing this page, as you can see, it will not allow us to access that unless and until we are actually logged in. But now the problem is that instead of redirecting us to the login page, it's actually redirecting us to some random page up over here. And this is because we have to actually set up the login paths and the logout paths. And in order to set those paths up, I have to go back to the settings.py file of our main app. And here I need to clearly define the paths for login and logout. So here let's go at the very bottom and define those paths. So I would say the login URL, I want the URL to be nothing but login, which is basically present in the user's app. And then I would say the logout underscore URL should be equal to logout. Once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's try going to users. And now as you can see, if I try accessing users, instead of giving me that error page, now we are getting this proper login page because we have set up this login URL right here. And now let's see what happens when I try to log in. So when I log in, it basically says user authenticated and login. So that means the login and the logout functionality is working pretty well. And in the upcoming lecture, let's go ahead and let's create a functionality to be able to change passwords. So let's say for some reason, if the user has to change their password, in that particular case, we have to provide them that feature. So let's implement that in the next one.